If you traded this week, I want to know in the comments what you thought of the price action and how you performed this week. As you can see from the screen, I had a terrible week. I actually lost 11 trades in a row. I didn't win a single trade out of these 11 trades this week. I would say half these losers were unnecessary, avoidable losers that weren't really fit to my strategy. And the other half were valid losers that I would have taken even when I'm trading very well. After last week making 2,000, I gave a little bit over half of it back this week. The way Top Step works, you have a trailing stop loss and it follows you up, but it does not follow you down. That's why it's called trailing. And my stop is now 49,779, so I cannot let the account go below that value. And my account's at 50,600, so I have about only $800 to play with before I lose the account. Our rebuild date is the 27th, so I have 2 weeks to make something happen or lose the account. So I took 2 trades today, Friday. Both were losers. I'll throw one on the screen that I recorded, and then we'll get into a trade review for the last 2 weeks. Alright, so this was a long on ES, and I noticed that 11 or 10 out of my trades were long, and I just kept going long, even though the trend for this week was short. We were trending down almost the whole week. Anyways, I was taking ES long out of this 30-minute demand zone, and I did a good job waiting for significant volume on my entry candle to show there's a lot of participants in case that shorts get trapped here and we get pushed up long. And as you can see, it did go in my favor at the beginning. I even secured a 1-to-1. I didn't secure it obviously, but I don't take anything less than 2-to-1 because it's just not enough reward for me to be consistently profitable. And as you see here, it just took one big candle to wipe out almost all of the gains I made on this trade. And I've noticed that a lot this week. We were very choppy this week and just erratic. It was very hard to predict the market this week. I've traded extremely bad this week, and I could blame it on market manipulation, on conditions changing, which I do think conditions have changed a little bit, but that's no excuse. Taking responsibility is how I'm going to become a better trader and recognize when conditions change and how to go about that and how to navigate a market that changes, because that's what it is. That's what the stock market is. It changes every 2 weeks, every week, every month. Conditions change, and sometimes the strategy that you used to profitably make money a month ago no longer works. So you have to tweak and change things here and there. My Top Step account is about 2 weeks old now. We're up like $600, so not a lot. And we only have $800 of drawdown left before we lose the account. Hopefully not. These are trades I've only been journaling for a week because this is the start of January. This is the first trade I took in January. It was a really good trade, actually. We came above the high, we stalled up, and then we reversed under the high with this candle, and that was my confirmation, along with significant volume once we reached the zone. That was my confirmation of a reversal. That's a textbook trade for me, so I took it short with a 2.5-to-1 risk to reward, and my TP hit really quickly. So yeah, this was a flawless trade. I would take this trade again 100 times. I followed my plan. I wasn't emotional, and that was the day. I left after that. It was one trade on the day, and it felt good. Then we came into the next week, and I was up 2,000 on the week, so I was really feeling a little jittery. I didn't want to give it back, which I did end up giving half of it back. And this was Monday. First day of the week. There was a 15-minute supply here that we traded up into. Now that I look back, I see that we tapped it here and then we tapped it again. Every time you tap a zone, those orders are getting filled and that zone is less valid. So every time we tap the zone here and sold out of it, the sellers in that zone are possibly getting filled and not existing at the same extent in that zone anymore. So yeah, we came into the zone, sold off as we tapped it a few times. By then, I thought all the sellers were used and dried up. So I was looking for longs over the significant trend line that dated back a couple of days ago. And we traded above the trend line, significant volume. So I took it long, expecting for a rally up above this zone into the near supply. A rule of mine that I've had for ever since I've been trading supply and demand is to not trade the wrong direction. And that's exactly what I did for the first two trades that I took here. The direction in supply is short. It's supply. There's sellers here. So there's no reason for me to take it long until this zone is broken. For a continuation play, I need to see the zone break, trade above it, and then come back to it. That's true invalidation when you break the zone, and we didn't invalidate the zone, so there was no reason for me to take longs. After that first one, I re-entered once I saw us trade above the trend line once again, and I got quickly stopped out because there probably was still sell orders up in the zone that weren't totally filled yet because the zone isn't invalidated. After I saw this big red candle reject the trend line one more time, I entered short with my stop above the high, and I would say this was the only valid trade. It wasn't super valid because the zone was already used up before. It wasn't a fresh zone at this point. At least I was trading the correct direction, short in supply. And we got stopped out for our third loser. I locked out my account after that, and that was that. 3 losers in a row. As you can see, this was the main takeaway. Don't trade the wrong direction in a zone. I should never do that. 2 of those trades were losses that I shouldn't have taken. Then came Tuesday. I was a little shaken up by 3 losers. My confidence was a little bit shaken. So I was trying to be more selective, and I waited for a really significant zone to hit. This was a fresh 3-hour demand. And as you can see, when a fresh zone hits, it works. We went like 2 ticks into the zone and we got bought up. So there was clearly a lot of demand there. Once I saw that, I was looking for a retest for confirmation to enter because this zone clearly had buyers in it. We came down back into the zone. I either wanted to see a higher low or I wanted to see us trade under this low and get bought up immediately, reclaim this low and hold it for a move up. If you move further into a zone, there are possibly more orders in the zone to get your trade to work. This candle right here, if you watch, I did record this trade. It's on Wednesday. We reclaimed this low for like a few seconds with about 10 seconds left on the candle close. So I kind of assumed the candle was going to close green and reclaim of this low. And it ended up dumping in the last 10 seconds, closing red. And I was already in the trade. It was a false reclaim. And we weren't above this low. Anyways, I got stopped out of that. And then I immediately re-entered right here when we saw another green reclaim of this low. The volume was good, so that wasn't an issue. But a lot of these losers, I'm re-entering right after a loser, causing another loser. So obviously after I have a loser, my mindset is a little bit skewed, and I think I just got stopped out every time that I have a loser. I'm like, oh, the market faked me out, and I don't want to see the trade work in my favor after I just got faked out. In the future, I'm going to walk away after one loser. If you have a losing trade, it means you didn't read the market correctly. You're not in correlation with how the market is trading. Yeah, there's no reason to be trading that. I did a good job stopping out and trading the correct direction, which is good. I waited for a key level and waited for good volume, which was significant the whole time after 10 a.m. And another thing I wrote is that reversals work best at the beginning of a zone. As you see here, the beginning of the zone is a strong reversal. If you see here, we're deep into the zone. This is a bad reversal. Reversals work the best at the beginning of a zone because orders are fresh, the zone is untapped, and coming down to Wednesday, coming off of 2 losing days, 5 losing trades, I was really shooken up. I was like, yeah, my strategy's cooked, and I named this day impossible price action because it was just unreadable, and I should have taken the signs early in the day, and I should have avoided this day altogether. Both these trades were long once again, and this zone was fairly used. If you look back a few days ago, we traded in this 4-hour demand multiple times. We traded deep into the zone. So there's no fresh orders, and there's no reason for me to look for an immediate reaction at the beginning of the zone, because there's no more fresh orders. These first two trades were both reclaims. On this one, I saw a reaction off this demand, so I was like, oh, it's valid. And then I waited for another confirmation. We broke the low and we reclaimed it and closed with volume. So I was like, that's my confirmation long. And as you see, it worked with a 1-to-1 right away. And a single candle took me out over 10 points, which is insane. I think that's an example of the current conditions that we're in. They're a little bit choppy. They're a little erratic and unreadable. And yeah, that is something I have to adapt to. So I stopped at the low. And then we reclaimed again on this low, and we held it, and we closed at the reclaim with significant volume. Like, this is almost the highest volume of the day except opening. And so I took it long, and this should have been a winner. I hit my 2.5 R target. It was like right here, and I did not get out because I wanted to make the money back from all these losers. So stupid. So I got greedy and I let it go against me eventually. This was a good trade and it worked in my favor. But again, one single candle traded over 10 points and eventually stopped me out. And while I was frustrated at this point, I saw another reaction of demand right here, and I just entered long, thinking this is like head and shoulders or a triple top, triple bottom. And I entered and I immediately got stopped out. So I have to pay attention to fake outs before my entry. As you can see, we already reclaimed lows multiple times here. So if it didn't end up working on these first two times, why would I expect it to work on the third time or the fourth time? If you go up to my first trade, this was the first time that we faked out of a high. So it was the first time, it was the first fake out, and that's why it worked out so well. But here we faked out 4 times in a row. Of course it's not going to work. And then again, zone was not fresh. It was deeply traded in. Something that can help me to avoid taking a poor trade on a used zone is to use the 5-minute chart to confirm the trade, because it just trades much slower when it's a used zone, and you just need a lot more structure to take a good trade with a very used zone. Again, I got greedy after so many losers. I wanted to make my money back and was aiming for a TP that was way too high. Yeah, I missed this 2.5 R trade. This was supposed to be a winning trade. Here we are today, Friday. Again, took 2 losing trades going long. Once again, did a good job stopping out of losers, waiting for key zones and waiting for volume. I was trading 3-hour used demand zone. They were both used zones. Again, used zones. So I should not be taking the first sign of reversal on a used zone. I should be waiting for 5-minute confirmations. Instead of using a 1-minute chart, I should be using a 5-minute chart on a used zone because it's used. Or volume would have to be super significant for me to be comfortable longing a used zone. Again, my position size was too high. I lost like a little over 350 on the day. And yeah, there's no reason for me to size up after I've been losing so much. I've been taking 5 contracts instead of 3 micros. And yeah, there's no reason for that. I should be sizing down when I can't read the market. So I longed it after we saw a good reaction with volume. We broke this low and reclaimed it with volume. So I was like, that's my confirmation. And again, trade worked with me for a 1-to-1 and dumped in a single candle. We saw this like 3 times. It working and then a dump in a single candle. Here, we saw that here, we saw that here. These conditions are very hard for my strategy. I don't really understand them yet. So I have a few rules in place for me to trade better for the next 2 weeks before my rebuild date. And I'll get into those real quick. Coming back to the top step, as you see for this account, we have a whopping 24% win rate, which is absolutely horrific. A lot of these losers, as you saw, came from re-entering a loser literally like a minute after I lost. So one of my new rules is going to be after I take one loser, I'm locking out for the day. I'm done for the day because I'm not reading the market correctly if I'm taking a loser trade. So yeah, that's one new rule. Another rule, because some of these losers were great trades and they worked with me, and I just didn't take my profit because I was aiming for too high of a reward. So my second rule is to take a 2.5 R every time I make it. So if my stop loss is 10 points away, for example, I'm always going to take the win if we hit 25 points in my direction. Coming down to my trade direction, it was 92% long. So I was just longing, longing, longing. And if we come into the broader market, the S&P here, we've been making lower highs since mid-December. So clearly the trend is going against longs. We're trending down. There's no reason for me to be so biased long. I should be way more careful longing. And yeah, I should be taking shorts much more easily. So there was no reason for me to have such a bias. Yeah, that was one of the reasons I lost a lot of money, is just my bias. For the next 2 weeks, I'm going to follow my new rules of only one loser a day before locking out my account, and always taking a 2.5 R. And we're going to see how it works. We got 2 weeks left to trade, and hopefully this account goes well. This is the first account I have recorded and traded live, so I didn't expect it to go super smoothly, even though we won 2,000 on the first week. Yeah, unfortunately, I've been trading really badly, and I need to get back on track, so I'm going to keep my size low and my new rules in place. Watch out for my next live trades, and I hope you guys trade well next week. Peace.